Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey everyone. Hello there everyone. Hey everybody. Hey everyone. I hope you're all having a great day today. By the way, I'm in my bathroom.
Hey everybody. Hi guys. Guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks a lot for joining me today. We're introducing a new member of the family. One-armed baby holding makeup tutorial. Hi guys, I join you today with new hair. We wanted to introduce our newest little addition. I am celebrating on this day, November 13th, as I sit here and shoot this, 10 years on YouTube. In a way, it seems like it was not that long ago that I started my channel and have been doing this, but then I think about all the massive life changes that I've gone through in this time. Moving from apartment to house to new house, being on the news, not being on the news anymore, job changes for Tyler, 2 babies. These like 10 years after getting out of college have just been massive years in our lives. And I really did not think I was gonna get emotional here in this video, but like when I think about myself at that time, and I mean, yesterday I went and I watched some of these first videos that I did, and my God, like, they're so raw, I guess is the way I would explain them. Like, there's no lighting. There's no good lighting at all. I mean, and it was coming from a place where there basically was no standard set yet. Like, people didn't expect all this, you know, like lighting and backgrounds. It was just such a new thing. And I think about the, you know, the couple dozen people who might have tuned in and watched that first video and liked it. And I remember at one point in my really early days on YouTube, I had a little gap, like maybe a month or so gap in posting. Is probably the longest I've ever not posted on YouTube. And the reason why I came back was because of you, like the viewers who said, please, you know, keep doing videos. I kind of like this stuff. Like, it was just new to everyone, right? And I guess what makes me emotional about it is when I look back and I see that girl sitting there and I think of all the stuff that's changed in my life since that time. But I just listen and I think, that's the same heart, you know? That's the same, sorry. It's the very same passion for this stuff that I've had all along. Like, what drove me to start my channel is what keeps me excited about my channel. I just love makeup. I love connecting with you all. And I'm not sure why I'm so emotional about it, but this is just a huge, I don't know, milestone for me. I'm proud. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of the people in my life who have supported and encouraged me. And I'm really, really thankful to you guys for receiving what I do so positively and encouraging and inspiring me. Because like I said, there was a time very early on where I thought, oh my gosh, you know, why am I doing this? This is not going anywhere, whatever. And it was because of your comments, like, where'd you go? Are you gonna come back and do any more videos? Like, that's what brought me back, and I stayed. So anyway, I just can't thank you enough, because these are connections, personal connections with you all that I've been able to make over these 10 years that if I hadn't been doing this, like, what would have happened? When I say I love you, I truly love you. So many of you have poured your heart out to me in different ways, in letters, in emails, in messages on social media. And I'm just glad to be here for you in whatever way I benefit you. If it's the hardcore information on a product that you're here for, if it's the companionship, if it's just the sense of like regularity and normalcy in a crazy world and a crazy life, that's what I'm here to do. And honesty as well. I will always be that for you. I mean, I don't do sponsored videos, and I'm not about to lunge into a big monologue about sponsored videos and whether they're right or wrong. I just don't feel like they're right for my channel, because what I do, you know, it's always been very review focused. My first video I ever did was a review. Everything I love to do is, you know, comes back to a review in some way. And there are some people who get on YouTube and they look like freaking models. And there are some people who get on YouTube and they're doing the most like creative and amazing makeup. And it might be sad that this is the state of affairs we're in these days, but I feel like one of the things I can get on YouTube and uniquely offer, not saying I'm the only honest person on YouTube because there are many, but that is one thing that I feel like people can come to my channel and you can let your guard down and you can not be wondering if I'm telling you the truth. My videos are always coming from the heart and the things that I really think, and nobody's pushing me to say anything. Even though I joked about getting in cahoots with Oprah, I wouldn't even, you know, let Oprah sponsor a video. It's just not the way this channel's gonna roll. It's what I've committed to. So anyway, I love you guys. Here's what I want to do with this video. I'm glad I got the tears out of the way first before the makeup application. That's a good thing. But as I was going back and watching some of those early videos, some of those early, very humble videos, I was listening to the products I said I really liked, and I thought, you know, some of these are really standing the test of time. There are certainly many things that over 10 years, like there are certain brands I talked about that aren't even in existence anymore. There are products absolutely that have been discontinued, but some things have stood the test of time, and there are some things that I would look at today and say, yeah, I like those things still. And before you get panicked, none of these products that I'll be using today are things that I actually had 10 years ago. I have since, you know, repurchased them in some cases several times over the last decade. Did I just say decade? But yeah, I just want to go through and do my makeup with, I guess, do I have 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You could say 10 if I wanted to go with 2 different foundations that I really like, but I've got, you know, a handful of things, and I'll fill in the blanks with some other products as necessary. But guys, I was going back to not just like my midway through my YouTube channel videos, I was going back to like the earliest ones I could find to come up with some of these items. So one of the things that I swore by was the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and I used so much drugstore stuff. Like the vast majority of everything I used was drugstore, but I remember my sister would give me at Christmas time some sets of higher end makeup, and usually it was Smashbox. I've already got moisturizer on, by the way. She gave me some great Smashbox kits, and one of them contained the Photo Finish Primer. It was my first time ever knowing what a primer was, and I thought it was like the silkiest, best feeling thing on my skin, and it still feels the same way to this day. This is the original Photo Finish, and of course they've come out with different versions. Oops, after 10 years I will never stop dropping stuff. But yeah, I think it's still a fantastic primer to this day, and I think it's cool that it's still around, and it's just an iconic product. It's probably one of the most iconic things that Smashbox makes. Here's another one. Revlon Color Stay liquid makeup. The other thing that I could mention here would be Rimmel Lasting Finish, because I watched myself just yesterday introducing Rimmel Lasting Finish. Like, I just brought it home, and by the way, my first haul was not called a haul, it was called a new product update. And I was like showing you all that I just found this Lasting Finish 16-hour makeup at the store, and you know, I turned out to really love that stuff, and I still love it today. And I love Revlon Color Stay too, although back in that time I used the comboed oily, and now my skin benefits more from the normal to dry formula. But I have this in the shade Fresh Beige, which was the shade that I still used back in that time. And so I'm just gonna patch some of this Color Stay all over my skin. This is so fun, guys. I love reminiscing. I love thinking back to the good old days and the old school stuff that I was using, and like talking about what I was using for the news and stuff. Look at this little guy. This is new. I saw this at Walmart. Sorry, I broke this one nail. But this is a Real Techniques Expert Face Brush, and it's one of their little, like, stocking stuffers. Full-sized head, travel-sized handle. I hadn't used one of these in a while. I wanted to see, like, if this was any good or if I would be totally thrown off by the shorter handle. But no, I think it's fine. I feel like I'm just using a little kabuki brush or something. Yep, obviously Real Techniques was not around when I started my channel, but I do have an iconic brush still that I use so much from when my channel started. Think about what that brush might be. It's an eye brush. If you can come up with that in your head right now, you are an OG Beauty Broadcast follower. My first video was actually an e.l.f. brush review. But y'all, there's nothing wrong with Revlon Color Stay. You know, I'm gonna say it's medium coverage foundation, but it feels really nice on my skin. Doesn't feel too drying. It's gonna last well, I know that. In those earliest videos, I wasn't honing in on a real great concealer that I loved, so I'm gonna use my Shape Tape today, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of it. Again, I wear light medium. Doesn't take a lot of this product, and I love pulling in a flat brush because I just feel like it spreads so well. while there were some product recommendations that I gave back in the day where I was like, yes, I still love that. I still have that, you know, I've repurchased that. There are definitely some other things that I saw myself talking about, like, what? You like that then? Like, I've tried such, you know, better things, and that's great that, I don't know, the makeup landscape and my taste maybe has evolved. But yeah, well, there were some things I really liked, or continue to like. There were some things that I rolled my eyes at big time. As you can see, in some cases, I'm gonna be throwing my own new little spin onto this look. And one thing I'm gonna do is bake, and I'm gonna use my Maybelline Fit Me in Fair here because I am kind of in the midst of just testing some different loose powders right now. So I'm gonna try to do a little baking. Coming on strong right now with the bake. Eve has her first little tooth poking through, and I think the one right next to it is not far behind. She was up at 3 in the morning. It was not a very restful night, and then, you know, sleeping with this boot on from my broken foot, my broken navicular bone. It's hard to get comfortable with that big old thing on. And I'm such a barefoot person. Like, I go around in the house barefoot all the time. Like, I don't want to be bothered with shoes. So this is a big deal to have this dang boot on all the time. Another thing that I didn't pick up on much in my earliest videos was brow stuff. I think I would have probably been into this if it were around, this e.l.f. Instant Lift brow pencil in natural neutral brown. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. This is normally where I really go into my huge monologues in my videos while I'm doing my brows, but I got that out of the way at the start. Seriously though, if any of y'all have been around since my apartment days, God bless you, you know. God bless you for having some faith in the fact that maybe things were going to get better on my channel and I was eventually going to get a decent camera and some lighting maybe. But like I said, nobody really expected it back in that day because everybody was kind of doing crummy videos. Everybody was using cheap cameras and webcams, you know, stuff like that. I remember the first camera I bought from Best Buy. It was the cheapest one they had. I was working part-time as a associate producer and like the lowest on the rung reporter at the TV station at the time. Tyler was in law school. I couldn't afford some great camera, but I think the thing that might make me want to hug my former self the most is the backdrop. Like, you see a half open closet, you see like the last 3 things that I wore like hanging on the outside. You see my sorority paddle hanging on the wall back there. It's just all kind of a bless her heart sort of thing happening in those videos, but I will never take them down. Never ever. It's part of the journey. It's part of where it all began. And this is a little CoverGirl Clear Gel because I'm not using this because this stood the test of time and I love it so much, but this was something I used back in the day. I think there are better kinds out there today. And dust away my baking here. Something which I never would have really thought to do back then. But I am going to apply a little powder elsewhere on my face. L'Oreal True Match. So good. Still to this day, so good. And I've got it in Buff Beige. And I'm just going to work a little bit of this on my skin to set everything. I love this powder then, and I always talked about it being the best textured drugstore powder, and I really love it to this day. Isn't that a long time? And I've tried a lot, and I still love it. I think that's great. Speaking of injuries, did you guys hear that Carrie Underwood fell on the steps at her home like, you know, a week and a half after I fell at my home? Not saying we're soul sisters or anything, but, you know, maybe. Can I ask you guys this? What happened to NYC? Because if NYC were still around, I would be pulling out my Sunny bronzer and I would be pulling out my sheer red lipstick. I can't say that brand stood the test of time because it's sold nowhere where I live, but maybe it's sold where you live. I'm gonna pull out my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil because I recall that being one of the main bronzers that I came to love. It's definitely, I think, a little bit deeper than NYC Sunny was. But now Chocolate Soleil is in a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate, and this is just the original shade that came in. So I'm going to contour a bit with this, and this is matte. And I'm just using one of these brushes from the Tarte Holiday set, by the way. I'm getting a lot of use out of those. The scent of this bronzer itself actually reminds me of the news and how much bronzer it took to look good or halfway decent in that lighting that just washed you out to pieces. And then I think I'd come home and there was that time, especially when I was in the other house, you know, with the bright pink room, and I would come home from work and start shooting a video, and God knows how much bronzer I had, but like I kind of needed it for my job, and then that became like the only time I could really shoot videos. Most of the time in that house was kind of like my morning show era, although there were some apartment days with that as well, but I would wake up at like 1 in the morning, sit down and do my makeup. You guys think I'm up early now because it's kind of like dark-ish outside, butt crack of dawn-ish outside. But if you've ever spent any amount of time working that kind of early shift, it's like, it's hard to ever make 5 a.m. seem that early anymore when at one time you were getting up at 1 routinely. And another thing that I noted as being stands the test of time favorite, CoverGirl Cheekers blushes. Like if you are in a drugstore situation or like, let's say a Dollar General where maybe it's a really limited selection of makeup and you just need to grab something, like the Cheekers blushes are no joke. They're really good. Two that I happen to be holding here are Plush Plum and Soft Sable. Gosh, I remember using Soft Sable like in high school. Not this particular one, but you know. It's since been repurchased, but it's got a little sheen to a little satin finish neutral blush. You know, I love these blushes. They're so good. And I think Golden Pink was one that I used a lot back in the day. But this Soft Sable could work with darn near any makeup look, like lip look that I want to do. I'm going to put on a little bit of the Plush Plum as well. And the instant cheekbones also, they do still sell those. But guys, you'd be surprised at how many things like I used to talk about that aren't even on the market anymore. Well, you'd believe that. I mean, stuff turns over all the time, especially in the drugstore. Here's something I loved and one of the only, I think, existing e.l.f. products that is still just $1. It's the Shimmering Facial Whip. And this one, what shade is this? The lightest one, it doesn't have the sticker. Oops, dropping stuff just for old time's sake. If you're looking for something that gives you kind of a similar effect to a Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector liquid, check out one of these. I like to spread it out a little bit on my hand and then get one of these brushes. e.l.f. Small Stipple brush, you know, is great too for this, but mine is kind of stained right now. Like I need to clean it because whatever liquid blush I was using with it recently, it really got discolored. But isn't that a nice little glow? And highlighting wasn't huge, you know, back when my channel was starting. Like it was not near the factor in makeup then that it is now. But I still liked this stuff. And I continue to have it in multiple shades. See, just a little soft glow there on top of the cheeks. Nothing too major, but beautiful. And I never had really gotten big into setting sprays in the earliest days of my channel, but I'm gonna use one here today that I've been playing with and really liking, actually. It's the Makeup Revolution Pro Base Aqua Priming Base. But I kind of like it as sort of a after face makeup step. Not saying you couldn't use it like a primer, but it gives me a real dewiness. I know it was a few years in before I discovered this bad boy, but my Milani eyeshadow primer, I must put that on, right? For the majority of my channel, I feel like this has been a must-have for me. I know not everybody finds that it works for them, as nothing does, right? Nothing is 100% success rate across the board. For me, this has been nothing but consistent and wonderful. Now for eyeshadows, there are a few things I wanted to pull out. One of them would be Shimmering Sands from CoverGirl, because this goes back even like pre-channel days. This goes back to college days, even high school days. This trio has been around so long. And then another one that comes to mind is the one called Drama Eyes, the quad that has the white, the silver, the burgundy, and the black. But I could not find that anymore in my collection, although I'm pretty sure they still sell it, because recently I had glanced over the CoverGirl selection. I saw that that was still there. So if I had that, I'd probably be pulling that out. But another thing that I really liked and talked about in the earliest days on my channel was Smashbox eyeshadows. They have a photo op formula that I think is really, really good. And I had several different like duos and trios that were part of gift sets or the masterclass sets. I love those and I use those so much. And so I don't still have those, but I found something that was sold more recently. It's a photo op mega palette. Now not the hugest one that they've ever sold, but it just says photo op eyeshadow. It's like this. I think I got this, was it a Nordstrom type deal? But I pulled this one out because this was the format of those different trios. That's exactly what they look like and the exact size that they were. So I think what I'm first gonna do is I'm gonna grab my sponge tip. I'm gonna go into this Pearly shade and Shimmering Sands. And I'm gonna put that around my inner corner. Just get this party started here. So brightening. Nothing feels more nostalgic than applying Shimmering Sands with your sponge tip applicator. I know you all had it. If you don't still have it, you probably did have it when you were in about 8th grade. I mean, I used this thing till I hit pan twice. The reason why it's so good and so good for newer makeup users is because you can't go too far wrong with this. Like, I'm gonna use this deepest shade here in my crease a little bit, and it's not too dark. It's not a problem. You're not gonna screw this up. Probably. I probably found a way to screw it up back then, but see, just a nice little soft kind of bronzy brown. There's nothing wrong with this. I know people feel like they outgrow stuff, they get too good for stuff, you know, whatever, but no, it's fine. If this is still around when Belle and Eve are learning makeup, yeah, my kids will be starting on Shimmering Sands, you can bet. Middle shade, I always use the middle shade to highlight with more because for whatever reason I was kind of scared about putting super light shades up under the brow. Not sure what my deal was. I'm gonna do a little bit of the lightest shade. So I've kind of like laid the groundwork for the look, I guess, with Shimmering Sands, but I'm gonna pull in a little bit of Smashbox. I'm thinking I wanna go with a little bit of this purpley shade that has the golden shimmer in it. That's kind of cool. Dusty lilac with golden shimmers. Smashbox really has maintained a really good, solid formula over the years. They do really nice, soft, pigmented eyeshadows, good mattes, good shimmers, just a whole lot of consistency, I think, in their products, in their eyeshadows specifically. Then I think I want to bounce over to this burgundy, and maybe we work a little bit of that on here too on the outside. So we're now to the point where I want to work on my outer corner a little bit. Remember earlier when I was like, what is the brush that has been around since the beginning of the channel? This Essence of Beauty Fine Crease Brush, part of a duo. This is the smaller of the two, and this is the same brush I held in my hand in that little old apartment doing my makeup. It is the perfect little outer corner thing. I was able to get it at CVS, and right now you probably only find this kind of thing on like eBay. These brushes are so good, and what nice quality. Like, this has been washed so many times and it's been taken care of. There's no shedding on the bristles at all. Like, this can totally still be used. And the only reason why it doesn't crop up in my videos is just because I wouldn't want to really be raving on something that I didn't think anybody could easily get their hands on anymore. And I've always thought that you have the ultimate amount of control when you're using a small brush like this to kind of create that outer V, working with darker shadows, getting them placed exactly where you want them, you know. Small brush helps. I'm also going to bring in my new friend, my little Real Techniques eye pop brush into that burgundy too, and get some of that going on the lower lash line. A little smoky eye, never hurt anybody. Do you guys remember what my first favorites videos were called before they were favorites or best in beauty? I called those shopping list ideas. Yep, they were shopping list ideas for a long time on my channel. Do you also remember when I did something called Question of the Week? I remember like surveying people and then I would give the results the following week or something. Like, I really had it going on there in the early days. I may not have had good lighting, cameras, sound, or like anything really working for me, but I did have concepts. I need to brighten up the lower inner rim or I'm gonna look like I'm about to fall asleep. The eye look is giving me that kind of feeling right now. Sometimes when it just gets a little too smoky and a little too purpley and you're a little too tired, you need that little pick-me-up there. For liquid liner, I'm gonna pull out what I have here, this NYX Matte Liquid Liner. I know I probably used to use the NYC liquid liner. Also, like Revlon Color Stay Pencil, there's an example of a thing that either it's gotten worse, but I know I used that Revlon Color Stay Pencil a lot back then, and I had tried it more recently, and I just could barely even get it across my lash line. Not winging it out at all today, just kind of following the natural lash line. Another thing, looking back on my channel, I couldn't believe how skinny my eyebrows were. And then I also had a really hard line going on my lower lash line too, it seemed like. Or maybe just, you know, the poor video quality made that show up more, like the contrast of it. It would appear in my videos that lining my lower lash line was very important to me. Two mascaras I heard myself talking about in one of my earliest videos were the CoverGirl Fantastic Lash. Does anybody remember that? It was in a red tube. It was kind of like a little bit of an hourglass shaped tube, and I remember really liking that, and I really love the L'Oreal Hip mascara, but neither of those are around anymore. So I'm gonna pull in what I currently like. I'm gonna use my Voluminous Lash Paradise. Also, I used to adore my e.l.f. eyelash curler, but I have moved on to my Tweezerman Pro Curl, which is the absolute perfect shape for my eye. I think the e.l.f. was really good at actually creating a curl, you know, like the way the pad was, it would really sink in there and curl the lashes nicely, but this actually gets in touch with every lash. I think I am gonna pop some lashes on this look. I kind of want it to be like old meets new. It was a little while on my channel before I got comfortable using false lashes. I didn't just enter the YouTube scene knowing how to do false lashes. I remember really struggling with it at first. But then when I got it, I was like, wow, my eyes have never looked more va-va-voom. Videos like this make you think, am I still gonna be doing this in another 10 years? And will I be looking back at like this benchmark and then analyzing myself and my makeup choices here and be like, oh yeah, that CoverGirl Clump Crusher water resistant. I really love that stuff. Let's hope that I'm not talking in that voice at 43, but whatever. But speaking of voices, like, it's so funny. A part of it's like really poor camera and audio quality that makes my voice sound so like faint in my earliest videos, but I also was just talking quietly because I didn't want to be heard, you know? You'll notice the door in the background was shut. I did not want, like, anybody listening in. I didn't want Tyler, like, really paying attention to what I was doing, although he knew I was in, you know, the spare bedroom talking to a camera about makeup before it was ever really a thing. I just, you know, didn't want to be overheard. I was still pretty self-conscious about it. Now the only reason why I keep my door shut is so I don't wake people up around here. Okay, these are the lashes I'm gonna use. These seem a lot like the Cocoa lashes in Misha, although I'm not certain that that's what they are. I gotta use this Duo lash glue because Revlon Precision Lash Glue, rest in peace. I don't know what's going on. I hope you come back to stores, but I haven't seen you in a while. I noticed in my first collection, like makeup collection storage video that I did, I noticed quite a few of these Wet n Wild lip glosses. I know the Bronze Berry shade was a favorite. I purchased this more recently, and it's kind of like a metallic shiny gloss. If I could think of one really iconic lip product that I loved so much and used so frequently in the early years of my channel, it would be the Jordana lip gloss in Lovely, although they definitely don't make that. What they do make from Jordana that I also like though are the Easy Liner lip liners. I got these in Walgreens just the other day. A couple shades I remember using all the time, Baby Berry and Tawny. So I think I'm gonna put on some Tawny right now and maybe top it off with a little Wet n Wild lip gloss. Still though, to this day, good lip liners. This Tawny, you know, it's a perfect shade. It's retractable. You know, it's kind of like a Your Lips but better lip liner. Kind of verging on a spice type color. Like I think of Milani Spice or the Too Faced Perfect Lips in Spice. Kind of like that. Guys, I feel like everybody's already decorating for Christmas. It's not even Thanksgiving yet, and I feel late having not decorated for Christmas. I mean, I got a few little like things here in the makeup room, but I've still got like fall stuff around my house. Am I late? Like, what happened? Everybody got like really quick on the Christmas decor this year. It's kind of like a weekend type project for me because I definitely need a lot of Tyler's help. Especially what with the broken foot and all. Really need his help lugging some of that stuff out of the basement to upstairs, but maybe next weekend. And then I'm gonna do the Bronze Berry gloss over top, which could be just right here in the center of the lip if you want it to be. It's so shiny, but yet it's neutral and not super light. I don't think I'm going to take my hair down, but I will like spruce up my ponytail a little bit. Oh, I remember watching a video and seeing myself pull out something other than Tresemme Trade 2, and I was like, you know what, guys? I am pretty happy with this look. I think a lot of these products that I loved back in the day are still so good right now. Not every CoverGirl eyeshadow is a home run these days, but certain ones are still great. The Smashbox Photo Op shadows are great. My Cheekers blushes, that Too Faced bronzer, Revlon freaking Color Stay foundation. I mean, everybody was talking about that back at that time. Still on the market, still good stuff. And of course, don't forget about my Rimmel Lasting Finish either. So anyways, thank you guys for joining me for this video, for this rather emotional at times walk down memory lane. I just can't thank you enough for being with me all this time on my channel. I mean, if you found me yesterday, thank you for being with me. If you found me 10 years ago, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. This channel has grown so organically, you know, over the years. And now if you will raise your coffee mugs, cheers to, I don't know, however many more years I've got in me. I never want to stop doing this. I love this. I love doing these videos. I love connecting with you guys. And it's just so fun for me. I guess once it stops being fun for me, maybe that's my sign that I should call it quits, but it is still like my passion. I so enjoy doing this, and I thank you so much for being with me on this journey. That's really what my channel is. I've never been a pro sitting here telling you, you know, this is how it's done. No, what you've been watching on my channel, if you've been with me over the years, is an individual's growth, you know, and me just kind of sharing stuff as I find it and sharing techniques as I learn them. And yeah, I love that. I love that YouTube has provided this outlet where anybody can get on here and do what I'm doing. So I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.